All righty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a lovely day. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. Okay, all right, guys. So big move up here on the indices today. Big move up across the board today. We got a big, nice gap up. On the upside, as far as levels on QQQ, we have 62669, 62880. Above there, 63701. And then we're back at all-time highs, guys. We're having that breakout move. We're going to 650. On the downside, you have today's low, 61689, 61318, and 60995. Coming over to SPY. Okay, SPY, guys. That's why I say it looks a little bit better over here in SPY. You could see the last few red candlesticks here. Once you took out that high, you continued that week. You had a decent move up from there. I am guessing that's going to be the exact same over here. Okay, and once you did that, you just kept climbing into new highs. Okay, bears punch here. Okay, I'm telling you, there are a lot of large accounts out there that will just, you know, funnel crap into your feed. All right, they will mess up your mind. You don't need mass amounts of opinions. Okay, you don't. Okay, you need to know how the charts function, and then you gotta silence the noise. You don't gotta let all the noise in. But that's what probably most people like to do. They're like, you know, going crazy. They're seeing all these different opinions. You don't need all these different opinions. Okay, you know, if you're going to follow people, I'm just going to say I have a proven track record guaranteed over here on YouTube. You know, all of this research, I don't call shit after the fact. It's all beforehand. And, you know, people seem to forget, and haters, you know, they're going to hate. But again, these people suck in their lowlifes, and they suck, and they got no money, and they're mad about it. They're mad about it. Okay, you don't got to be mad about it. All right, I hope you guys are doing well in this market. I hope you guys had a great day today. Things are popping. Okay, all right. So, you know, SPY over here, it really is pretty simple, guys. You take out last week's high, 685.80. We're going to new highs. We're going straight to $700. That's the call I'm making right here. We're going straight to $700 next 1 to 2 weeks from there. You know, again, we're calling for this correction before the move up to 700. When we were on this week right here, we talked about on the move SPY, the last 3 psych levels, 600, 500, 400, they all had these pullbacks 5 to 10 points before hitting the psychological level right there. And then those pullbacks get bought. Okay, it doesn't tell you how quick they get bought, but they get bought within a few weeks. You know, some of them, they go straight back up, but some of them take a few weeks there. All right, so I was building that into my equation over here. I was suggesting that was probably going to be the case. And I was looking for this dip and said, hey, we didn't get to $700. I'm thinking it gets bought. It doesn't make sense to get this close to that big 700 psych level and not get bought up. All right, and what happens? We're getting bought up. Okay, I'm never going to tell you guys flat out what the market is going to be doing. Sometimes maybe I'll make bold calls. But, you know, real talk, I try and teach you guys and show you guys how the market moves. And it really is if this, then that. And we have, you know, a base case most of the time. Well, guess what? You know, the market's been following that base case for weeks now. Okay, like this sell right here was in the base case. And I'm serious, my comment section just loves to flood with fucking morons. Pardon my French, but fucking idiots. And if that's one of you guys, hey, feel free to say it sorry in the comments, okay? There's a lot of dickheads who came in over the past few days over here. It is what it is, okay? Now you just go and punch air and eat your words, dickheads. It's okay, all right? You're salty, you ain't making money. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, you know, on the upside, SPY, guys, you have the 0.786 fib over here, 683.60. Above there, 685.80, last week's high. And above there, we go straight to all-time highs, 689.70 and then $700. On the downside, okay, we're gonna have 673.95, and that is right at the 21 EMA. We lose that. You don't want to lose that. That's when, you know, hey, you reclaim the 21, you're failing it again. Okay, you know, chances are if we get this move down, I'm pretty sure it still is going to be something like this. I'm pretty sure it would just go like that. You know how we just had some straight range bound for the whole week. So if we get that move down, expect either the market to sell or you just get the range bound action. But, you know, again, I'm thinking this market's just going to go straight up to $700. I think SPY is going to $700 over here. I'm not sure if we go straight up, but, you know, we are 0.6% away from today's close from the last week's high, 0.65%. That's only $4.50 higher, guys. We can get up there, maybe even tomorrow if the market wants to do. I'm not sure, but I do think, you know, we probably are going to take out all-time highs this week if we get above 685.80, okay? That's really that, guys. That's buying QQQ. You don't have to complicate things. You really do not. VIX is getting crushed. You're back underneath the 21 EMA here. If you take out 1731, I am thinking, yeah, you're probably going to just start coming back down to these lows over your 1562. But yeah, you know, I'm telling you, bears get extremely loud. Okay, bulls, you might think the bulls are loud. You know, perm bulls, they're out there. Okay, you know, people sometimes, it doesn't matter, both sides, they don't like to use their heads sometimes. But I will tell you for a fact, I've been doing this for years, this whole YouTube thing. Okay, and I've been free. Okay, it's free. I don't shove anything down your throat. If you want to come trade with me, I say it once a video at the end of the fucking video. People, you know, got a problem with free content. All right. You know, oh, you're leading people to slaughter. Yeah, I think you are getting slaughtered and you're mad about it. Okay. Rip. Okay. But, you know, real talk. The only time I see the toxic individuals, these lowlifes, come out in the comment sections who are just there to talk clear shit. All right. They're just mad at me for some reason. I'm telling you, they're on the bear side. And guess what? They've been wrong the entire fucking time. Don't listen to these idiots. They're idiots. Okay, there are people online who are like, oh, it's the dot-com bubble. Guys, things aren't like the dot-com bubble. Not at all. Okay, go look at the signs. You know, the PE ratio, it's not even close to what it was back then. All right, these are real revenues coming in. The market is probably just going to keep climbing. Yes, there's going to be a major top put in at some point, but until these trends start changing, like, I don't know why people jump the gun every fucking time. You want to make a bold call? Okay. Why do you want to make a bold call? Don't you want to make money? It's that. Don't you want, aren't you all here to make money? Just go with where the odds are telling you to go. That's it. And I got you with that every single week here on this channel, 5 days a week. I got you. Okay. But that's the indices, guys. We'll go over the MAG 7 stocks here, and they're looking the same. They're looking like they're probably going to be rallying. Now, that being said, we're in the golden pocket on everything here. All right. So again, if sellers are going to step in, it's going to be around here. Expect the dip to be bought until proven otherwise. If we lose those 21 EMAs, not the best look, but we'll see if they get reclaimed, because again, I think SPY's going straight to $700. It doesn't make sense that we're going to get this close to it. We're not going to hit it. The last 3 psych levels, you hit it. Okay, you don't stall out right under it and not see the dip get bought. You saw the dip get bought every time, and then you hit it. I'm expecting it to be the same this time. It's a big psych level there. Microsoft bounced right into the supply zone we talked about 50963. You're going to have the 21 EMA sitting around 515. That's Microsoft. NVIDIA over here, guys. Honestly, if the market starts pushing back the highs, I assume this is probably also going to start pushing back the highs. You know, the weekly candle looks a bit different over there than SPY and QQQ, but nonetheless, guys, you know, this is a big bounce today. You have a 6% bounce. You recovered the worst part of the sell-off over here. And yeah, you know, I don't think it's looking all too bad. Am I going to tell anybody to trade this thing? No, I don't think it's really worth it over here. You also have earnings over here, so premiums are jacked if you're an options trader. You know, but at the end of the day, market's going to move with NVIDIA over here. NVIDIA is not looking bad. Google over here, guys, talking about basing out. I think this really is, you know, this and Amazon right now, best looking MAG 7 stocks. But, you know, Google, as far as short-term price action, this looks like it's about to get a pop up to $300. So above 291.93, the big psych level is going to be $300. That's what you're watching over here on Google. Tesla, we talked about it. Okay, in the weekly update, we said the last 2 times you lost the 21 EMA along this run here, you reclaimed it within 1 to 2 sessions. Well, that would be today's session, and we just got a daily close back above it. The daily cloud, okay, that we said would end the run here if it closed red. Guess what? It came back to green. Okay, so yeah, Tesla bulls, they're in the clear for now. It's not a stock I'd recommend trading. It's been moving like shit for a while now. But yeah, have fun if you'd like. Apple over here, does this really look all that bad? It looks like a range. It looks like you have absolutely no direction right now. And bulls are still in control because you're above the short-term moving average here on the daily time frame. You know, I'm not going to say the weekly looks all that great. But, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, I don't know why people are getting so bearish, dude. People are getting so bearish as of last week, and it's just very obvious. You have extreme fear going on here. When we call for the correction before the correction happens, people just don't want to read the charts. There you go. Meta over here, guys, started bouncing back today. You know, again there, I'm thinking we're going to be seeing 660 to 690 still in the short term here. I think we come into the moving averages, but it, you know, it makes sense that we at least retest this key spot over here where we were losing right around 662.67. Okay, so that's Meta, but you got the daily bullish divergence going on. If you want more details, I talked about it, in detail there on the weekly update there. But you're at a golden pocket. You can look back and you can see there are an absolute shit ton of golden pocket tests throughout, history here since inception. If you're in a bull market, you're looking at these things to be respected. They happen a lot. Okay, and it's the same thing right over here. We got the daily RSI showing the bullish divergence. This is exactly where we should be expecting buyers to step in here. Now, we can't say how quick they step in here. Maybe you base around, maybe you sweep this low, come down to like 680s, okay, and then you start a larger push. But I'm telling you right now, guys, this is your discount. Okay, and like you had a chance at today's low. I'm talking long term, okay, like long term, that's where you should be putting your hat on right now. It's a Mag 7 stock over here. It's going to push back up to all-time highs with everything else. It's just, it doesn't have its time in the sun yet. It's coming, okay? That's a 30% move. METU over here is going to be making a larger move. If it has a 30% move there, and as long as it doesn't take, a few months, then this thing will be moving 60%. Okay, so there you go. That's Meta. Amazon, guys, started bouncing back today. Okay, weekly chart. I'm open to the idea here where you do get this larger pullback, even if the market's going to be moving up. I would like that to be the case. I would like to add more over here. I like December, January calls on this name. But, really, you're looking for this to be bought over here. This is where, when we were over here, we were identifying this exact spot, 238.85 to 242.52 for, a retest. And that would be your mean reversion. Well, what do you got? A hammer candlestick right off the 9 EMA. For all I know, this thing is going to start pushing back up to highs. This, on the monthly and weekly charts over here, you could see how significant the move we're getting right now is. This is a big break and retest over here off a previous all-time high. Okay, and this is, a 1.5 year range here that's just now getting a breakout. Not only that, you got the break and retest going on here. Okay, like you didn't catch it on the first time off earnings? Don't worry. They gave back like half the move and you got a nice entry off the 9 EMA. Okay. Maybe you took advantage. Maybe you didn't. But yeah, I'm looking for this thing. We're talking 270, 280. The market is going to have legs. There you go. Now we're going to get in some tickers over here that I think are standing out. Now, that being said, this guy over here,
that was easy.
I was pounding the absolute table over here off of the 21 EMA, and that was our focus last week. Guess what? Well, it was APP and this. APP actually fully recovered today. Yeah, cool stuff there too. But yeah, CrowdStrike, all right? They're easily the cleanest chart over here that I was kind of identifying in the market on the daily time frame. This is clean, guys. Oh my God, doesn't get much better than this. As we broke out over here, I was looking for the 21 EMA test, and it just looks like it happens every 1 to 2 weeks. If not every week over here, you get pretty close to the daily 21 EMA. So I was just kind of waiting on that to take an entry and provide the perfect mean reversion entry into new highs. All right. And again, use these opportunities, what's going on in the market right now. What if we get sellers stepping in? You want to be making sure you're taking some of those profits. Okay. But yeah, CrowdStrike, guys, big move up. I think this thing is going 570, 580, but I also know how the thing trades, and you got to be completely open to this thing kind of just pulling back every other day. That's how the thing likes to trade. You can't argue with it. Sometimes it has the impulsive moves. Either way, hopefully you got an early entry on it if you would like to hold for a potential impulsive move or not. Maybe you're taking profits, maybe you want to hold, but either way, hopefully you got the early entry point on it and you got a good price. Okay, so that's CrowdStrike. APP, guys, you got a big bid today. Okay, big recovery there. You were up, I think it was 8%, 9% at the highs. This is one of the larger moves on APP. You don't usually see that much action there. Okay, that is a lot. It's kind of this slow move over here. I'm honestly thinking this thing's going to just start grinding up from here. You now have 4 tests of the upside of this range. You also swept the downside of this range, lost the 21 EMA and reclaimed it the same day both times. Okay, this thing looks like it wants to run, and you pushed right up over here to where you had sold over here off of, your right before open, you started selling over here off your earnings gap up there. And you pushed that. Guys, the fact that we're testing this area so much, and they didn't have bad earnings, I'm telling you for a fact, those were great, stellar earnings. You know, I'm thinking this thing is going to start trekking up to all-time highs. I think it's probably going to just grind its way up. Maybe it continues with these impulsive moves. I'm really not sure, but you know, I'm telling you, you take out today's high, 675, you're going straight to $700. Above there, you're going to all-time highs, 745.61. That's APP. Open not A, OPEN. We're not spelling right. Open Door Technologies. Big recovery going on here the past two sessions, guys. You have now had over a 50% move off of the lows. You had a nice wick off of the weekly 21 EMA there, printing out with a, you know, closed out with a hammer candlestick on the weekly. And if you take out 855, I don't think it's going to be long until you're over $10. And if you get over $10, I think you get the 1087 breakout, you know, either that week or the next week there. And I think we're heading up to 12, $13 in the short term. All right. So, you know, big move is brewing over here. This thing did break out of its falling wedge there. I know you also broke down over here, but guys, you had a false breakdown. You didn't even get a close underneath. And now you're getting the breakout on increasing volume. I know you can't see it too much there, but yeah, this thing might start, you know, coming back into the light over here on social media. And I wouldn't be surprised to see, you know, first of all, this is too crazy impulsive moves up. Just realize, okay, you don't normally just continue going vertical here for a few sessions. You will have pullbacks. So just realize we haven't had one yet. It's probably going to come. So if you end up seeing that action, you're probably going to pull back into the zone here, 777 to 855, and that could provide an entry point. Or you could just start taking your position like I did today. It's up to you guys how you want to trade this thing. But you know, straight up, I'm hoping, you know, calls end up. I got 1121 calls that were just, you know, I'm hoping now they come back from the dead. And then I like December calls over here. December and January, I think you're going to have a good time on. December specifically is what I'm going with. You know, I think this thing has started reversing. If you can take out 855, okay, that's you clearing the supply. And at that point, I mean, you're already out of the wedge. I think this thing is going to start really going, okay? But keep in mind, this thing definitely likes to have its pullbacks, you know, every few days there. If you get extended from the moving averages, if we do see this thing go like this, just realize that is probably going to be shortly after, okay? Maybe you don't break out right away, but you know what? We're going to be expecting if you break through this area is that pullback gets bought. It's going to just pull back, revert to the mean over here in the 9 EMA. That's open. All right, putting out on the weekly update. This is one I like. If you could take out last week's high, okay, I think it's going to start this push back up to highs, 46.94, and then I think we're going 50 plus on this name. Monthly and weekly charts they look great. Okay, the market has been, you know, really not doing too much. Okay, the past few weeks here, it hasn't been the cleanest price action. Well, this thing has been basing out off of the weekly 21 EMA, and you're just now starting to push up. You got a break and retest off this breakout level 39.48 today, or you know, on Friday there, and now you're getting, you know, buyers stepping in with the follow through today, back above last week's high, 42.66. I think this is probably on its way up to 46.94 in the short term, and then up to 50 plus. Okay, but daily RSI is likely going to get overbought and stay overbought for a little while here. All right, KO, I identified this one as showing strength in the weekly update. Doesn't really matter what the market was doing. This thing had a big fat green weekly candlestick, as SPY and QQ had a big fat red one on the weekly time frame here. Definitely had the strength. So, you know, I was pointing out over here, you know, expect dips to be bought. I'm looking for the break above 70.90 in the short term. Above there, 71.61. That should bring you up 72.45. Okay, but I'm looking for further upside over here. I think this thing is about to be starting its move back up to highs. And this is the base over here where that move starts from. This is where you... boom, sellers started taking the wheel, and then now you got a base going on. Now the buyers started taking the wheel again. You're back above those weekly moving averages. Your cloud is now flipped back to green. All right, that is KO. EOS, I pointed this one out in the weekly update because you had this massive move up on Friday there. I do think it's going to continue. You did have, you know, just as much volume, slightly more volume coming into the stock today. You got the breakout above 1905. I think this goes 2180 in the short term here. I think it's going to continue. I don't think it's going to happen without pullbacks. Just realize those will happen. But look at the weekly. Look at it. All right. You've been basing out over here above 1474 for a while. You know, key spot. You got your 9 EMA on the weekly time frame here. You're basing above, you know, this is 4 weeks here. And now you're starting to have an upward resolution out of this little range you got going on. This thing looks like it's probably going to continue moving. Okay, I'm looking for 22 plus, 22 to 24. Probably coming this week, honestly, is what I'm thinking on EOS. LMND, lemonade, guys. Okay, lemonade over here. Yeah, telling you guys, wait for the range to build out. Okay, once you get your first pullback, you have the top of that range. And once you take that out, guys, I think that same week, I think you're about to have another 10 to 15, we're going to say 10 to 20% push. I'm thinking 90 to 100 bucks incoming this week. 100, if not this week, I think next week. I'm not saying it goes straight to 100 this week. I am saying, you know, you can look back at what happens over here once you have these big ass breakouts from your structure, which we clearly do on the weekly and monthly time frames. This weekly base you just broke up from, you can see on the monthly time frame over here, it's clearly getting ready. You got the break and retest going on off of this high right here. All right, and you just started breaking up from it off of earnings. You know, and you're about to get that second wind. Okay, and that's what you really want to be playing. Above 81.90, guys, I'm calling it 90 bucks incoming. I'm saying you're going to get a 10 to 15% day right after you take out 81.90, okay, within 1 to 2 sessions. That's the play over here. I like the 85C. I like the weeklies over here. I would say, you know, no financial advice, but how I'm going to be playing this thing, I'm going to use smaller size on it. I'm going to only throw probably like 2K onto it. And I'm going to play those 85C. And if I do end up seeing that move that I'm talking about, that's going to be a 3 to 4x on your money. Now, that being said, why do I say play with smaller size? I'm not telling anybody to do this. I'm talking about what I'm going to be doing. I like to share that stuff. You know, straight up, why? Okay? Because if I'm wrong here, I'd much rather have less size on it. You know, I'd rather play with 1 to 2K than have, let's say, 4K in the guy. And then, because if I'm wrong, the thing's going to fall for weeks. Okay? If this thing doesn't have this breakout extension move here, you know, if you don't expand out of, you know, last week's range, you are going to fall for weeks. I don't need to sit through that. I'd much rather not be in the case, you know, with time, with more, you know, money in the position there. I much rather just say, okay, oh, you're $1,000. Okay, it's not working out. Okay, cut it where you see fit. Much rather have that than, you know, have a sized up position that, you know, I didn't get in early on the setup, the actual setup, you know, you could have played the breakout on, and you had to hold through earnings. So I much rather take this approach, and I think you guys will have a better time taking that approach as well, okay? So that's LMND. XPEV, I was talking about this, how, you know, I didn't know what would do it. But yeah, no, they started popping today, guys. Big move, 16% move. Look at that volume, dude. But yeah, you had this big range going on, okay, for a while, or a big pennant going on for a while over here on the weekly, right underneath this previous high at 23.62. Yeah, this thing, guys, I think it's going to break 27.16 in the short term. I think it goes 30 plus. Above there, you have here at 35 bucks. So, you know, have 30 as the target. Okay, I'm just going to do it just like this. Just like that. Okay, and then above there, 35.35. That is going to be that second target if you don't want to take all your profits at 30 bucks. But yeah, 27.16 breakout looks to be incoming in the short term. I'm guessing it's going to keep running into earnings. I don't know what earnings is going to do to it, but, you know, over here you had a massive run into earnings, and then earnings kind of accelerated this little dump you had going on here. So yeah, I think we probably see further upside into next Monday. That's XPEV. GS over here, guys, it's getting ready to break out. I'm going to say within, you know, 1 to 2 sessions. I think we're probably going to get a breakout over 807.14. Above 807.14, guys, I'm looking for the move to 825.25. With all this consolidation, I think it's going to mark another leg up. I think you have a larger push. That being said, just realize most of the time this is a choppy ticker to trade. Sometimes it has the impulsive moves, but a lot of times it just kind of peeks its head up and it does what something like CrowdStrike does, where it likes to pull back into the range and then before, you know, heading higher. So just realize that is how the ticker trades. I like GS though. MDB, I am thinking this is going to be breaking 3087.19 in the short term here. And if it does break 387.19, if it breaks it this week, I think we see expansion on the weekly candlestick. I think we just might push 400 plus this week in the short term, like right away when that happens. Next stop, you know, it really is going to be 439 up there. But yeah, 400 and then 420 are going to be those cycle levels in between 387.19 and 439. Okay. Last one I got for you is going to be Berkshire Hathaway, BRKB. Now, you know, maybe this thing changed a little bit because Warren Buffett is, you know, maybe Warren Buffett's dying. You know, I hate to say it, but, Yeah, he's accelerating, giving away his shares, giving it to his family and stuff, and he's just not going to be doing the annual shareholder meeting anymore. I think he was saying, or something got released where he's not going to be doing what he normally does. He's been doing this for years and years and years and years and years. That's change, okay? Like, maybe he is getting ready for that time, and I don't know how this company is going to do off of that, but I do like the chart. So it's very unfortunate the legend might, his time might be short there in my head from what I was seeing today. But his stock, okay, I think it is poised for a break at above 507.66 in the short term. I'm looking for this dip to be bought. In the weekly update, I pointed out that we might pull back into this area over here around like 490 to 495 before heading higher. It does look like that. It looks like that is going to be the case. Can't guarantee you get bought up over there, but higher time frame, monthly, weekly, they're suggesting this thing is probably going to be pushing 507.66 in the short term. And yeah, that's just how things are aligning. So, I'm personally looking for this to happen over here. All right. But that is BRKB, Berkshire Hathaway. All right. And that's what I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Sorry, I just had to, I had to hand it to the haters at the beginning of the video. I'm serious. It actually is toxic. And, it does not help. When you're buying into the dip, you're not always going to time it perfectly. It's just how it goes. It's not always going to be perfect, but you got a little bit of red going on. And, these haters, these dickheads, these stupid perma bears, people call me a perma bull. There's actually perma bears out there that are just stupid as shit. They don't change. They don't. Every chance they get, they come back out of hiding over there and they're like, oh, this is time. It's time. No, dude, you're a noob in the market if you're thinking like that. Or you're a perma bear who, again, is continuously wrong. Like these large accounts I see on Twitter, which I can't imagine they actually trade what they, are posting like. But at the same time, I don't know. I swear my comment section gets filled with toxicity. Obviously, you guys are freaking great. I'm talking about, every video. If the market's pulling back, I'm telling you, there's like 5 to 10 dickhead comments. It's just how that goes. In my world, that's how that goes. Nobody sees it. All right. Maybe if you want to go look, sometimes I block them just because I'm like, okay, I don't really want to hear this. I'd much rather just listen to my own thoughts. But at the end of the day, these people suck. And I know I'm not even talking to these people because they're not going to be making it to the end of the video. But, straight up, I just can't stand that people are really like that. They genuinely are toxic. But being out here on the internet, yeah, you do expose yourself to that stuff. But I just want to remind all of you guys, these people are stupid. Okay? And you can easily just go with the flow like I preach here on this channel constantly. Go with the flow. And you'll be right every single time because you're always placing the odds in your favor. And maybe you're not making these crazy calls and making crazy 10x gains over here on shorter dated options. But the people are constantly looking for those. Those are the people who suck, and those are the people who are going to lose over time. They're not going to win. Okay? So be a winner. Do what you got to do to be a winner. Silence that noise. Be aware of who you are listening to online because there are a lot of people who continuously get it wrong. And I can guarantee my track record speaks for itself here on this channel. I do everything for free. Again, if you want to come trade with me, that link is always down below. I'm live every day. And yeah, with that being said, I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.